Don't blink, it's your bling. Welcome to the show. But we're doing well on this 14 October 2024. We're about to go sleep, but I wanted to make it last video. And people are coming to me recently, and I'm super grateful for that. But people are coming to me recently a lot for advice. Since I'm a bit older than most of you guys, I'm often seen as this bigger brother presence, which I adore. Because if I had an older brother, I would have loved for him to do that for me. And if I had a younger brother, I would have done that for him. So somebody asked me a question in DMs. It was pretty interesting. What is the most valuable lesson, okay, that you ever learned? And I could go the simple route and tell you I have learned so much from Kenny versus Penny. And again, if you look at it, and it's funny because there was this problem with Kenny versus Penny lately, where Kenny Haas, it's kind of crazy story. Kenny Haas, which was a founding member of Kenny versus Penny, Kenny Haas, had his YouTube channel, and he technically bought the right for the show because he was a director, right? He bought the right for the show, and he put them on YouTube. And every single time that he had a view, he would get some money, right? But it was more than that. It was just keeping the show alive. Now YouTube, and I have to agree. I have to agree with YouTube on that one. I love Kenny vs. Penny. I'll always have this soft spot for Kenny vs. Penny. Kenny vs. Penny will always be the show that taught me the most about myself. I learned more in Kenny vs. Penny than I learned in most of my classes in high school and grade school. I'm being serious. I'm being honest. But there are some things that aren't aging well. For example, Kenny calling Penny a R word. It's funny. Penny deserves it because Penny's an asshole. He deserves it. However, if people that are not deserving are getting hurt by you, there's something. There's blackface in Kenny vs. Penny, and again, it's not meant to be blackface. It's not meant to be racist. But it's blackfaced. Okay. Kenny will dress up as Hitler. And although it's funny because Kenny is a Jew, and I'm not saying this I'm not being disrespectful. I'm not saying this in a derogatory way. I have a hard time saying long word like that. He did, and there's a moment of the show that shouldn't be. For example, there's a episode where this who can smoke the most weed, which is one of the best episodes ever made. But back then, weed was illegal. For example, Kenny, and I say Kenny a lot because Kenny was edgy. Kenny is this wonderful man, one of my role model. Kenny Otts, one of my role model. I had one guy tell me I look like Kenny Otts. Although I don't see it, it was such a compliment for me because I'm like, there was a period of my life, honestly speaking, at 20 years old, where I would worship that guy. I would worship Kenny Otts. I listened to Kenny vs. Penny every single day on repeat. I would listen to Kenny vs. Kenny Hot's podcasts at work. I was worshiping that guy. Kenny did a show called Triumph of the Will, which is a show where he breaks the rules, and in that show he eats human organ. Now maybe those organs were donated, but it's still eating human. It's still cannibalism, right? And yeah, there's it's taboo for sure. It's taboo. And Kenny vs. Penny was canceled. It was not canceled. Sorry, it was taken off YouTube. And it's sort of disappeared, you know? I could easily say that. Kenny vs. Penny. But it all happened at A&W. A&W was such a hard part of my life. I wasn't the guy that I liked. It was one of my first jobs in W. I wasn't able to focus. And I liked the ambiance, and people liked me. People I know liked me, but I wasn't following the rules. I wasn't a bad employee. To be honest, I was a completely bad employee. I would do it on purpose to fuck up burgers. That way we had food for the crew in the back. So what would happen is you would fuck up a burger, you had to put it in the bin. and you had to write it down. So what we would do is at the end of the shift, we would take the bin and distribute the burger. There's 4 burgers. There's 4 guys, 1 each. That's the way it was, right? And then we had this cashier. Still have her as a friend, Fresia. Oh, fuck. I fell in love with that girl so badly. Oh, man, that girl. Whew. A dream come true. Kind, beautiful. Wifey type shit, you know? And, yeah. And that job, I wasn't respecting. And then what they did was they put me 3 hours. They put me 3 hours a week, and I had a rent to pay. But then people liked me a lot, so people gave me their shift. And the boss was like, no, don't give them their shift. We want them to quit. Now, if you listen to my boss, because we talked after, in her way, she was like, you were too nice to fire. I think there was, and they didn't want to pay me unemployment. I think so. But, yeah, who knows. So, long story short, so that's long story short. I go there, and I'm working 3 hours a shift, and then somebody tells me, "Hey, the boss wants you to quit," and they were my homies. I talk often about the guy that committed, that unalived himself. One of my really good friend. We met at the A&W. That was the guy. She wants to fire you, bro. I'm not supposed to tell you, but she wants to fire you. Like, okay. So then I had this mentality of a survivor. She wants to fire me? No, I'll learn the burger. But those times were very hard. She was only employing me for 3 hours. So in those 3 hours, I had to do the dishes, I had to cook the fries, and I had to learn burgers. And then I had to remember them because I wouldn't get to see them for another week. And that job, they treated me. When I was in place, they treated me good. But out of the place, they treated me like shit. They knew I had to take a bus because I was in another city, and they knew the bus I had to take ended at 12 o'clock. And they would make it on purpose. No, you cannot leave at 12. You have to leave at 12:30, knowing I would have to wait until 5 o'clock in the next morning. Now I know what you're saying, Ink. You were only working 1 day a week. Who cares if you go in late? Well, I don't want to be spending fucking 5 hours outside because they wouldn't let me in. And I was a fighter though. I was a fighter. They give me 3 hours a week. I would do it for 3 hours a week. I don't care. I had savings. I was gonna fight. I was gonna fight until they respect me. They hire me. And then there was one night where we had a assistant manager. She was a bitch. She was a really bitch. She was a real bitch. Amanda. We had 2. We had 3. We had Serena, she was so sweet. I think she had a crush on me. Which is sad because I was in love with Fresia. And I got Serena that loved me. But I'm sorry, I like another person. I'm sorry. And we had Sarah. Sarah, she was so nice. Sarah was a sweetheart. Sarah was the classic case of I'm too nice, you know? But hey. Then we had Amanda. And Amanda, she was not nice. Amanda, nobody liked her. But she was there for a long, long time. And she started like a teenager. She started very young. I think she was manager at 21 years old. And she started there. She was 16. She was working there for 5 years, so there was a link, there was a bond, like a family bond with the manager. So Amanda, she was a bitch. And a guy called me, bro, I cannot come. He asked me to take my shift. I'm like, dude, I can't. Your shift is like in an hour. It takes me an hour and a half to get here. And I don't even know if the bus is going to pick me up. But if the bus is there in 15 minutes, I'm going to be an hour 45 late. I said, no, I need you right now, bro. Please take a taxi. I'm working 3 hours a day. I don't have money for a taxi. I barely have money to eat. It's okay, bro. No problem. So then I go there and I'm late. And she gives me shit. Listen, I'm sorry the boss was there. If I could have came in earlier, I would have came earlier. Technically, I was doing them a favor. Should I say thank you? She was in a really pissy mood. So it was a quieter night. Me and the boys, we were laughing in the back. And she came to me because she was already mad at me. She was already mad at me because I was late. And she say, if Savvy, which the name of the guy was Savage, fucking nice dude. Savage was a really nice guy. Really nice guy. Really, really nice guy. Leadership. And she say, oh, when Savvy's here, we don't laugh, we work. And then I'm like, I know, and I said, I was trying to be nice. I said, I know you're mad because I was late, but look, I feel bad about this. I know you're mad at me because I'm late, but look, the girls in the front, which I didn't say that, but I said the girls in the front. She wasn't the girl in the front. She was a cashier too. She was a manager, but she was also working as a cashier. The girls in the front are joking. The guys in the back are joking. There's no customer. If there's a customer, I'm going to serve him, no problem. But there's no customer. And she looked at me and she said, shut up. And I fucking lost it. I said, what? She said, shut up. And I said, I'm doing you guys a favor right now. I'm doing you guys a favor. You guys are hiring me 3 hours a week. I'd be better off unemployed. I'd be better off on welfare. 3 hours a week. You don't know, you guys know this, okay? Back then, the minimum salary was what, $10? I was making $30 a week. I was making $120 a month. Welfare would have been what, $400, $500? And she's gonna say, yeah, but you're here. I'm like, okay. So I gave my 2 weeks off. I took my 2-week resignation. So my last day, we didn't have anybody. So we had a guy, and the customer was called Jesus. That was his real name, but we used to call him Jesus. The guy kind of looked homeless. Long beard, long hair, unkempt as fuck. You guys see this? I'm unkempt. I'm an unkempt person because of him. I felt so bad for the guy because he would call him, and the reason why they called him Jesus was because he would tip $100 every time he would come. He would always ask for the same thing. He would come once a week, always ask for the same thing. That meal was $10, $12. They would give 100 as a tip. Nobody gave a shit about him. They gave a shit about the money. He would always come on a Monday or a Tuesday at 10 o'clock at night. We were closing at midnight, right? There wasn't a cat in the place. And what really hurt my feeling that night was I was leaving, so I didn't give a shit. There's a I feel bad saying this, but there's a way you're gonna see your coworker when you're working with them, and there's gonna be a way you're gonna be seeing your coworker when you're not working with them. Because you don't have to deal with them. You don't have this need of preservation. You don't have this need of peace. We don't have this need of cohabiting. That guy was waiting for his food, and you can hear the cashier say, "What are we gonna do with the money?" The guy's right there. We cook his food. And I go to clean the table. And then again, Amanda was like, "What are you doing?" And said, "If there's a customer, I'll go back in the kitchen. I want to clean the table. I'm bored." I said, "Okay." And I talked to the guy. And I only said, talk about the weather. And he told me that that's the saddest thing of my life. He said, "You're the only person that talked to me in the last year coming here." And I told him, not everybody is always... And I don't remember what I told him. Something about people being nice, something like that. And I didn't mean that guy. I never met that guy. Never talked to him. He grabbed my arm. Solid, very solid. He looked at me with crazy eyes. And he said, "It's not about what you know." That's the best advice I ever received. It's not about what you know. No. It's not it's not about how much you know, it's how far you can go with what you know. That completely changed my life. That completely changed my perception. And the sad part is, I looked at him and he was holding me hard, and he looked like a I'm sorry to say, a fucking bum. I was like, this guy's fucking nuts. This guy's crazy. And a week after that, I had an interview for a job. I don't know how I got that job. I don't know how I got that job. I'm not gonna name the place because they should have not hired me. I was unqualified. And I got fired for being unqualified, but I got hired even being unqualified. And I was doing the interview. The guy was asking me questions to check if I was qualified. And I don't know why. I thought about that guy. It's about not about how much you know, it's how far what you know can take you. So I gave the manager some bullshit. I used what I knew and I sold it. I used what I know. For example, he was talking to me about, and I can't even talk about the product. It's not illegal, don't worry, but let's just say I was selling something that should have been sold by specialists, and I wasn't a specialist. And I knew the job was a seller. He was asking me a question about the product. And I answered as a salesman. And he asked me about a certain product. And he said, I used the term, another tool to make a person's life better. I didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. And I got the job. And yeah, that's the best advice I ever received. It's not about how much you know, it's how far what you know will take you. That served me so often. And that is to this day, today, tomorrow, yesterday, maybe not in a month, maybe not in a year, I don't know. But this has been the best piece of advice I ever received. And it came from a guy who we thought was homeless. We judged him on his look. And yeah, it's kind of shitty. Anywho, I love you guys. Take it easy. Peace.